Hello everybody, welcome to GT Planet and welcome to another video here on our YouTube channel. My name's Chaz Draycott, lead video producer for GT Planet, and I'm delighted to be producing more content for you once again. Today we're going to be driving this thing, which is the Viper GTS from 2013. I love a Viper GTS, I really like this shape, I prefer the older one, but this car has actually come in handy for me very recently. Now you'll remember in a previous video that we did, we went to the Tokyo Expressway race, which is the World Touring Car 600 race, one of the most formidable races in Gran Turismo 7. Very difficult to get a car that really has all of the characteristics. You need something obviously that handles well, that doesn't kill tyres. You need something that is decent on fuel but fast in a straight line. You need a lot of wits about you anyway to drive the race and complete it, and obviously get the huge prize pot that you can get. With a clean race bonus as well, you get a massive amount of money. It's one of the best money earners in the game for a 25-minute race. This car can be used for it very, very well. Now, in the previous video, we looked at using the Nissan Skyline with the R92CP engine in it, and that was a beautiful, beautiful combination. The car is still usable for the race, but you have to really turn the power down and turn a lot of the other characteristics down, so it's not perfect for the job now, unfortunately. Not as easy as it was before, anyway. This thing, though, has come in handy. So let me show you what I've done to it, because I think I won this car. I can't remember. I don't know if I bought it or won it or not. Either way, I'm very happy to have it and others. It's on sports hard tyres with normal suspension. You customise the diff, but to be honest, I don't really mess about with that at all. You have a fully customisable manual transmission. I've put that to 320 kilometers an hour, because as soon as you eke to that sort of speed, the other cars around you don't really get past that. I put a power restrictor and ballast and a fully customisable ECU on it, and as you can see here, I've got the ballast at 48 kilos right in the centre, and I've got the output to 93%. So I've turned it down and sort of balanced the two. I did used to have just the ECU and not the ballast in it, because I think the power had to be turned down to something like 90. With this you get a little bit more power, and obviously the ballast holds it back slightly and it's a bit quicker in a straight line. I did put racing brake pads on it though. That was important for the heavy braking zones down at turn 1. But as you can see on the right hand side here, nothing at all in terms of that. It's a very, very simple setup on this car, but it works, and I wanted to showcase that for you today and show you that I'm not lying. It does work for the job, and at this current version of the game anyway, you get 599.95 on the performance points, so it's right up there at the top. I came across this while trying to grind this race for more money basically, and I thought, I wonder if there are any other cars that we can use for this. You all know how to access the race. You head over to World Circuits, over to the Asia and Oceania region, and then it's in the Tokyo Expressway here. Whenever I see that Supra, I almost get nervous for it. It's very funny. But yeah, this race, very formidable. 500,000 for winning it. If it's clean, then I believe you get nearly 800,000 for this. So let's crack on, shall we, and see if the Viper can at least do me justice in this attempt, because I think before I've won by about 15 seconds. It's not been a huge, massive margin, so you need to make sure there's no major mistakes. But it's basically a case of just run it till it's on fumes and then fill it up until you need to go again. Now obviously it's important to have sports hard tyres in the car as well, because you need to be able to dissipate that water. But you'll see now, look at the straight line advantage that we have over a lot of these cars. It is very good. As soon as you get to 6th gear, it just starts to plough forwards. On a bit of that water at the moment, a few puddles. But look at the speed of this thing. Now it's not as good on the brakes as some of the other cars around it, so you do need to brake a little bit early. You will get some contact sometimes from other cars, but as long as you take it easy in the first couple of laps, you should be alright. Hello. The only thing I really find with... Oh, hello, bit of understeer there. The only real thing I find to be a big issue with this car is that it's very, very quiet, and it's very low revving as well, so you don't get a huge amount of feedback from how much revs you've got on. But it's decent enough around this sector that you can stay with the AI when it's wet, as long as you just be very careful in the opening laps. As you can see, I've run a little bit wide there. Gonna go for 3rd gear. Does step out a little bit sometimes, you know, the rear end does tend to go around on you if you're a bit heavy-footed on the throttle. Especially through there. I've just recently finished this race. I've just been absolutely nailed. I was just going to say, I've just finished doing this race when it was dry. That was the last time I ran it. Obviously at the end of the race it ends up being dry, so I'm used to the sort of grip levels of when it was dry there, so I've been a little bit over exuberant, but I can't believe I've just been nailed like that. You do have to correct a little bit of oversteer here and there out of the final corner, but I think no matter what car you're in this race, that's pretty normal. This is the important bit though. Look at this little red sector here. Look at the time to the leader. It is coming down bit by bit in a straight, and that is the easiest way to gain time. As you can see, we're topping out at 190 mile an hour. You could probably fiddle with the gearing a little bit more to get more out of that, but look, these cars are just left standing. Absolutely standing. 200 miles an hour, and then onto the brakes. We've had a send up the inside by the Supra, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine, because we will annihilate them on the straights. And to be fair, in some of the twisties as well, the Viper's got such long gears that on the exits you can usually get a big smooth run. Have some of that. Now importantly, as we come to the end of the second lap, you can see we've used just over a quarter of a tank of fuel, so you don't quite get 8 full laps out of the thing, but you get more than half race distance, so it is only a 1-stop in this car. And Valerio Gallo at the front turns it into a 2-stop almost every time. Kokubun is actually the driver you want to be worried about in this race. In the RX-7, he ends up being the driver that usually finishes in second place to me here. It feels so good around this section, you know, for a big beefy old Viper that's, you know, not supposed to be very good at going around corners. It really does feel brilliant. Flying past Blajan's Porsche. Now weirdly, it seems like the fuel usage has gone up because I've got half a tank now. Strange. It should only be a 1-stopper though. Pitting at the halfway point of the race, nice and straightforward. You can obviously try and save fuel as well if you want to. You can change the engine mode and drop that down. I think in a previous run through I've done it on engine mode 2 and it's been alright most of the way. But you don't really need to save much because all the other cars will pit as well. So it's the time that you gain when you're on the circuit that's more important. Yeah, 4 laps and we still have over a quarter of a tank of fuel. Flying past the Mercedes, and we'll get past the Supra before the end of the start-finish straight as well. Look at this run. You can hear Fraga's just changed up actually, just changed up a gear there. He might get back past me on the brakes, tend to brake at this puddle. He's closing, but no, he's not there. Okay, so the end of lap 5 is Gallo's first pit stop. He usually makes 2. And as you can see there, we've got 1.3 laps remaining. Don't forget it's a long lap as well, so that 0.3 and that 0.2 is absolutely fine. We're catching up to the leaders now, 7 seconds off Kokubun. Tyres aren't completely destroyed, but I will change them in the pit stop just so we've got fresh rubber. Caught Hazal hand over fist here. Look at the speed of the Viper, it's just brilliant, isn't it? That sounds fantastic, that Subaru you've got there, son. Oh, we got onto the wet stuff there, a little bit of understeer. Oh, bit of oversteer there, went into the wall on the inside. Okay, so we will pit now. Straight into the pits. This is where you have a bit of an advantage over the AI as well, because they slow down before the pits. If you just keep it absolutely pinned, you still get away with it. So as you can see, we will almost need a full tank to get it to the end. We only have 4% of the fuel remaining. We'll take fresh rubber. We'll just fill it all the way up so we can kick its head in all the way to the end of the race. Kokubun is now pitting from the race lead. We continue to chase down the other cars in front. We are making time on them though, which is the most important thing, just because simply we've got the power advantage over them. There's Hazal coming back out of the pits. Let's not forget, just before we pitted we were ahead of him anyway, so that makes sense. Now the gap to Gallo is 13.5 seconds, but He will pit again, so that's nothing to worry about. Wondering whether that little incident and spin earlier is actually going to cost me this win, you know. As I said at the top of the video, didn't I, that you really need to, oh dear, drill out any sort of minor mistakes, any setbacks, because it is on edge. Squeeze our way past the Swillow. Sorry, I was holding my breath there. I'm actually concerned here because Kokobun is 9 seconds up the road, and I think that is enough to lose this race. You know, we've got 3 laps to go. Don't think we're going to gain that much time on him. Obviously, there are differences to how you can apply this and do it yourself. You know, with the strategy, you can go into fuel saving mode 2, for example, for the whole thing. You still get a decent amount of power. You're still quicker than the other cars in a straight line, but you could probably save another half a lap of fuel. Just go that little bit longer, shorter stop, don't take tyres, for example. All depends on your pace behind the wheel as well. Obviously, you know, you may be quicker than me, you may not be as quick as me, just all a case of managing it. But the reason I wanted to show it you with this car is that it's so doable with such a cheap modification. And I think even if you buy this car, it's not even 100,000, is it, in the used car market? So you're actually making a lot of money by just doing this race once if you win it. And it's quite good fun as well because the car isn't completely dominant. You don't just drive away from everybody the whole time, you know what I mean? You actually have to put in a bit of effort to really take the win, and it's a bit more rewarding that way, I think. I've always said it in Gran Turismo games, even from the likes of Gran Turismo 1 and 2 back in the day, that I'd rather have a car that's only a slight bit faster than the opponents, maybe a car that just handles better, not even necessarily a car that's always quicker in a straight line, which, as I said before, is the easiest way to gain time. I want a car that I can just beat the opponents, so it's a good fight at least, but I can still win. This thing feels great at this stage of the race though, it's lovely. Gain a lot of time on Kokobun through there. Really wrestling it through there though. Okay, so let's check how much time we gain on the straight. So it's 6.4 seconds when we begin the straight. I think it's about 1.5 seconds that you gain. Down to 6. There's half a second. There's a second. Yeah, it's really tumbling. It's about 1.5 seconds in a straight line, maybe even more than that. Nearly 2 seconds actually. But obviously you've got to keep it tidy for the rest of the lap as well, that's the thing. You are in a road car, you're not in a race car, it's not as forgiving. And to be fair, at this circuit as well, with the dry line and the wet line and the walls everywhere, like that, as soon as you get on the wet stuff it just gets away from you a little bit. You will notice that Kokobun gains a bit of time in this sort of sector. And it's the same as when he's behind you as well. Let's not forget, it does chase you down pretty hard. In the later stages, oh my god. But this is good though, this is a good fight, this is what I want. Yeah, the rears are a little bit slippy now. Right then, we're coming towards the final couple of corners. There's only one more lap to go. And the gap is 3 seconds. This could be close. Hear that fantastic sounding RX-7 making its way out of the final corner. Oh, messed that up a little bit. I was a bit heavy on the throttle there. Okay, 3.5 second gap. So it should be down to about 1.5 seconds by the time we get to the end of the straight. Enough fuel to make it to the end. Here we go. Down to 3 seconds. 2.8. 2.5. 2. Maybe go a little bit later on the brakes. Shouldn't have gone later on the brakes. Oh, that was scary. This has actually turned out to be even more exciting than I'd planned. But this is because of that spin earlier. This is what I mean. A moment like that can put you right in it like this. And there's obviously a big difference between the prize money for that position and for the one we're currently in, by a couple of 100,000. thing is in moments like this is not to lose your head and overdo it, which I'm very, very good at doing. I don't know, this is being recorded, so you're all going to watch this. I think we've got this. Because the thing is as well, is that the run, the straight line speed of the car doesn't come into effect really until you're properly moving, so it's not like it's the sprint out of the corner that's also important. This is literally side by side with a couple of corners to go. Love him here. It's not going to give us any room on the right, is it? Yeah, there we go. Concentrating so hard, because look at that. Oh no, I really didn't want to do that. It's literally a run to the line. It's literally a run to the line. And the Viper's just going to do it. Oh my goodness me. Well, there you go. You can do it even with a spin. But I made that a little bit more difficult for myself, didn't I? You can definitely shorten the pit stop by having a Mode 2 or a Mode 3 run through. But that's the Tokyo Expressway 600 race in a very lightly modified Viper. What a car. Oh, well, that was exciting at the end, wasn't it, everyone? Wow. And there's the result, 27-minute time in the total. Won by just about a second, but as you can see, you beat Gallo by about 15 seconds, even when you only just beat Kokobun as well. And then it's time for the prize, and with that, you get 825 total for a clean race bonus. That's pretty impressive, isn't it? It's a lot of money, and it's a great way to win it as well with the Viper. You can, like I say, do this in Fuel Mode 2 or Fuel Mode 3, and you will obviously make it a lot longer. You still have a slight power advantage over the other cars, but go and do this for yourself. Whether you win the Viper, whether you buy it, it's a great way to make money, and it makes it a close race, makes it an exciting encounter as well, as it always should be in these sorts of races. Hello everybody, voiceover Chaz here. Now I had to go and prove to myself that I wasn't going crazy, so I went back, did the race again, as you can see there, on Power Mode 3, or at least Engine Mode 3, and you can see here that we still have a good straight line advantage. Without crashing on the first lap like I did last time, I was overtaking cars left, right and centre, flew past the Supra, flew past the Swillow as well, and before you know it I was chasing down Valerio Gallo. Pitted at lap 8, the end of lap 8, after keeping it in Engine Mode 3 all the way through. Kept about 4.5 laps of fuel in after the stop, and we were straight back on with it. Gallo pitted again, and then we continued on to take a victory by almost 15 seconds. Lap times all the way through were about 2 10s, 11s and 12s, and then we collected the prize money. Sorted. Well, thank you very much for watching, everybody. Hope you've enjoyed the show today, and of course I will see you again very, very soon here on GT Planet.